You are about to hear from a holistic nutritionist who is also a neuroscientist. Really fascinating conversation we had. Orsha shares her journey of going through medical school, coming out at the end, then diving into the realm of holistic nutrition. And it's wonderful because she really brings the best of both worlds. Those paradigms of, the more scientific, evidence-based medical model along with holistic nutrition. And she talks about both those worlds, the benefits, the shortcomings of each, and you're going to learn a lot of simple, easy tips. She shares one of the kind of key areas, actually two. We first go into the first one that she sees across the board, an area that affects our brain health, our mental health, that everyone needs to address, as well as another deeper area as well. So she's super open, super kind of non-judgmental, non-dogmatic, and has an approach that can work from, anyone who is just beginning to get into nutrition to someone that's already kind of deep down that path. And she shares a lot of some of the kind of cutting edge of research and where things are going. And I think you're really going to enjoy this interview. So take a listen, enjoy, give it a like, give it a share. And by all means, definitely connect with Orsha, follow up. Lots of links and resources down below that you can explore further the work that she's doing. But right now, have a listen and enjoy. Okay, cool. All right, I want to welcome Orsha Magyar from NeuroTrition. Welcome on the call.
Thank you so much for having me, Malcolm. This is going to be great.
Yeah, right on. No, it's exciting. I've been waiting for this. I've had the opportunity to work with you, host you at the Light Cellar. You've taught some classes and really shared just some wonderful information. And I know for a lot of us in our kind of like modern scientific paradigm, a lot of us are really needing that, seeking that, even though we're interested in the holistic realm. And obviously with your background, you really bring that. And we're going to touch upon lots in this kind of short but very dense conversation. And like I do with all the conversations, I wanted to start off getting to know a little bit about more about you and your story, your backstory. I mean, here you are, you founded NeuroTrition, you're working with Canadian School of Natural Nutrition, you have so many things going on, a neuroscience background. Where did it all start? Where did it all begin? Obviously, it's been a journey for you, and as you share, we'll be able to kind of pull out the wisdoms and we'll kind of go down some rabbit holes and we'll just see where this conversation ends up.
Good. Yeah, my background in a nutshell and how this whole journey began was really 7-8 years ago. I was doing graduate work. I was out at UBC and in the psychiatry program doing neuroscience, and Ritalin really hit the scene. And all our profs, all my classes were just pushing, like this is the answer. This is the treatment for kids' brain and mental health. And it really caused me to do such an intense gut check where I was in school for 10 years in behavioral neuroscience and then neuroscience. And I just went along with it, what I was being taught. And then that really caused me to question. And it just went so against what I felt to be right. And that's really how the NeuroTrition journey started. I was like, oh my God, I don't know what else there is, but there's got to be something else for kids. That's really where the passion started, for kids' brains. And then it just took me on this weird, wild ride where I started researching. I saw that maybe, just maybe, nutrition could do something for brains. I didn't believe it. Partly, I went to CSNN and got that postgrad designation to disprove it. So I was like, there's no way that in 10 years I would never have been taught this. But I hadn't, and there was validity. So I went back, got that nutrition under my belt, and launched the company. And that was 7 years ago. So there was something to it. But that was the journey, me finally being forced to question, like, what the heck am I doing?
Right.
Like, what is this Band-Aid approach? And I'm still, I respect my background and I respect medication, okay? We work with really sick clients who will be on meds forever, and that's okay. However, there's more. There's ways we can work with food to optimize the dose, to make side effects less nasty, and that's the space we're in now, that nice integrative, holistic realm.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. And it's unfortunate, sadly that, 10 years of schooling and really the pinnacle is, well, just give your patients these pills.
Yeah, like really what people hear about those in the medical profession is true. It's like you get 4 hours and a 4-year degree, like if that. I knew nothing. And I was really hard on myself when I first started NeuroTrition at how I could have been this dumb or ignorant. But now I don't blame myself as much, and I have empathy for my colleagues who are still medical. We weren't taught. So if you're taught that the only underlying cause of a brain or mental health issue is, biochemical, is pharmaceutical, and that's the only way you're taught to address it, that's all you know. So thank God something in me was like, there's got to be something else. And it pushed me to open my horizons. Yeah. But yeah, my colleagues, like, they're just blind to it. So I don't blame them, but I'm out there hitting the streets, educating the allopathic Western medical community. Like, there's something else, and we have evidence now for this something else.
Yeah, and I think you're in that perfect place. I love how, obviously, you spent so much time in that paradigm, 10 years of schooling plus the society, the culture that we're raised in. I think oftentimes a lot of us that are in the kind of holistic paradigm are very quick to kind of like push away or like, oh, this is bad, and it's like, it's so true what you're saying, like the Western medical paradigm has a place, it has a role, it has so much value, and you're really in that unique position where you've embraced both, and I believe you're that much more successful and able to help people because you have both those paradigms.
I hope so. From what I've seen, two sides don't love each other, don't like to get along. And so my team and I really want to change that. And we see the value in both. We also see the shortcomings in both, but we want to work to meet those shortcomings so that overall it's a stronger approach that helps patients feel better.
Right. Yeah. I don't know, maybe this is a hard question to answer, but maybe not. Maybe it's easy and obvious for you. What would you say some of the shortcomings are of someone that might be more kind of entrenched in, holistic nutrition, that type of approach?
What might be a shortcoming of the really, really holistic practitioners? I think one of the biggest shortcomings that I've seen, and part of the reason I feel so passionate about mentoring the next generation of holistic healthcare practitioners, is for many of them, there just isn't that passion, that search for being evidence-based. Right. We need to be evidence-based. We also need to be intuitive. So it's like finding that really nice balance between always following your gut, trusting it, but in my opinion, going back to that research, if you're going to recommend something, especially for something so finicky like someone's brain health, so I always want to go and make sure the dosing's correct, that kind of thing, that it's therapeutic for any supplement we're working with.
Yeah, for sure. So obviously there's a whole spectrum of conditions and people and their stages of life that you're working with. I know kids are a big focus of who you love to work with, and obviously I know you work with adults as well. Want to kind of tap into the range of those that might be listening. Some might be listening and have children, or maybe themselves that are working with, maybe imbalances or challenges with their brain and kind of mental state and performance. Where's a good place that you like to start? Even for someone that maybe doesn't have that as well. That may be too broad of a question, but let's see where you take it.
It's a great question. Yeah, the basis of we call it the NeuroTrition RX. Okay, so our very integrative, holistic RX or prescription. At the core of it is going to be balancing someone's blood sugar. That we work with blood sugar balancing in 99.9% of our clients. Anyone who's coming to us who's just feeling out of control, feeling a bit of stress, all the way up to the serious mental illnesses we work with, like bipolar disorder, schizophrenia, PTSD, that kind of thing. So I think really by helping stabilize and get someone off that blood sugar roller coaster, we can do such good work on helping their mood, their memory, all that good stuff. So that's where we start. And then we add on to that basic NeuroTrition RX with the specifics for each condition that someone's dealing with.
Right. Yeah. No, that's great. Yeah. And probably blood sugar, like you say, is an issue that you see across the board.
It is huge. It's taken me years to fix mine because, and this is something I'm not proud to admit, but I feel like it will help some people who are listening. And sometimes maybe people think like, oh my God, people in the nutrition field are perfect. But my blood sugar was so imbalanced. I'm in the 7th year of working to regulate it because of the damage I did to it with caffeine pills, cigarettes when I was in the medical field. So it's not an overnight journey, but there's so much you can do. And one of the best things that we see and that now science is really supporting is if we can balance someone's blood sugar, we can help their body and brain fight back against the effects of stress. So one of my pet peeves always to this day is when a practitioner tells me or tells my clients, like, just stress less, okay? Just stress less. Well, that's really hard to do, and it's really annoying, and sometimes condescending when practitioners say that. So the way we work instead is by helping balance someone's blood sugar so that the stress is still there, okay? But it doesn't hit them as hard. It doesn't mess with their biology as bad, and that's a great thing.
Yeah, no, that makes perfect sense for sure. Now, what would be some maybe some symptoms, shall we say, if someone, because I bet you a lot of people don't even know that they might even have blood sugar issues. What might be some of those signs and those indications?
People don't know, and so some of the signs and symptoms of just kind of acute, so not chronic yet, but acute hypoglycemia or dysglycemia would be things like feeling irritable, feeling anxiety, feeling low mood or depression. We lovingly call it hangry, which I'm sure a lot of listeners have heard. So you're so hungry, you're angry. That's your blood sugar biology kicking in and saying, oh my God, like, feed me. Your blood sugar is dipping dangerously low. If you let that continue for years and years unchecked, like many clients do, because they're like, no big deal, I just carry sugar packets or candy in my purse. It's no big deal. Well, it is a big deal, because the longer you let that continue, it starts to wreak havoc on your adrenals, and it starts to wreak havoc on your brain and nervous system. And then 10, 20 years down the road, not only do we have weight issues, type 2 diabetes, heart disease, but we've got the mental illness stuff starting to pop up too. So, but yeah, people don't know they have it, or they just think it's normal, because the longer we deal with something, it becomes our normal.
Yeah.
I've worked with clients that when we get them, they're like, oh yeah, it's fine. Like, I pass out about once a week. I carry sugar in my purse. When I can get to it, I take that, or I just deal with it. It just becomes the normal, and that's really scary.
Yeah, and probably the beginnings of it, I think, of my childhood and even more today. It's just like kids, they have access to sugar all day, like throughout the day, right? And yeah, like I think I heard what you say is like that's the beginning of it, constantly just like feeding that, and then over the years, you get into your 20s, your 30s, and then it starts to show up. And I think a lot of these kinds of the more chronic symptoms are showing up earlier now as well.
Okay, absolutely. Well, yeah, like we've seen like type 2 diabetes, type 1 diabetes. Like, type 2 diabetes used to be called adult onset. Now we've had to change that whole wording and that terminology, because we're seeing it in more and more little kids.
Yeah.
And I don't know, how to even tackle that. It's tough, but it needs to start, with the parents, obviously, and in schools, and making this education available for little ones.
Yeah. Cool. So what are some kind of like top recommendations, foods that you recommend that you feel are easy for people to integrate? Because I know for me, working with people in nutrition, it's, you don't want to flip their life upside down. That's not the goal, the point, but that gentle kind of, here's some tips, some strategies, some techniques.
A gentle approach. One of the biggest things we work with is, even if you're not ready to go healthy, that's okay. We don't judge. We try and encourage our clients to develop a schedule for their eating throughout the day, right? So science tells us you want to have that breakfast within an hour of waking up, because when you're sleeping, you're fasting. You need to break the fast by eating breakfast. So we want to bring that blood sugar back up to a healthy, stable zone by eating breakfast within 60 minutes of waking up. And this goes for little kids and adults as well. And then we want to make sure that we're eating, even if it's a few nibbles of something, every 3 to 4 hours. And this is even if you're not willing to change anything about what you're eating, okay? Even if you love your SAD, your standard American diet, we want to get you in that routine that will already start to make you feel better. And then if you're willing to make a few changes, I would say start thinking about how can you add some fat, healthy fat, or protein to carbohydrate foods. And the reason we do that is evidence shows us when you're adding a fat or protein to your carb, let's say it's even a cookie, okay, some pie, something not healthy. But if you can just add a little bit of fat or protein to it, it reduces its glycemic impact. So it reduces the effect it has on your blood sugar. So that would be my next step to someone who's transitioning into eating healthier.
Right.
Then, if you're like full on, like, okay, NeuroTrition, like light seller, like what foods, like help us. Then I'm recommending, things like cinnamon, things that really, really nicely balance your blood sugar, things like chromium, those kind of things, garlic, onion, whole food kind of sources of a lot of our key brain and mental health nutrients.
Yeah. No, I love that approach, right? It sounds like
Yeah, I think it's about meeting people where they're at. Because, yeah, a lot of our clients, they are really unsure. It's hard to change. It's so hard to change. Like, I think some neuroscience research has come out showing that it takes like 7 tries to make it a habit.
Right.
So I always tell parents, like, try it. I know it's annoying and your kid's like pushing it away. It takes our brain a few tries. And that goes for adults too. We hate it, hate it, hate it. But then we start to see results and it starts to form this nice, like, new neural pathway and it becomes a habit. But it's hard. It's
Right.
hard.
For sure. So yeah, there's that 7 tries, like you're creating a new habit, right? And a good habit. And then there's also trying new foods as well. And yeah, you got to try something, 10 times or whatever it is for your body to maybe enjoy a new taste.
Totally. Like right now, the gut brain is a big passion of ours. And a lot of our clients just don't want to try the fermented stuff. But it is so good for you. And I kind of bring the tough love and I tell them, like, until you honestly can tell me tried it 7 times, don't diss it. And you know what? Usually by that 6, 7 times, they're like, this is okay. So I've gotten on the ferment. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. No, that's a great segue. Let's talk about that gut brain connection. We talked about blood sugar being a real significant influence and factor, and how about that gut brain connection and the probiotics and that whole realm?
Yeah, so we're seeing evidence kind of emerging daily, on a daily basis, showing how intimately the brain and the gut talk to one another. So one way that we can really help our clients' brain health is by really addressing their gut health. So, I mean, yeah, probiotics, and not only probiotics, which most listeners, I'm sure you guys have all heard of, but prebiotics is a big passion of mine these days. And prebiotics are the food for your probiotics. So, if you're eating something with prebiotics in it, let's say raw cacao, raw chocolate, amazing. It's just bursting with prebiotics. Well, if you're adding something like a good quality piece of chocolate to your yogurt, which is brimming with probiotics, it actually makes the yogurt work better for your gut and your brain. So yeah, prebiotics are really on our radar these days and educating the public about making sure you're eating those.
Yeah, no, that's a great point. I heard as well that like you not only feeding the probiotics that you're putting down there, but also as you're talking about shifting your diet, balancing blood sugar, you begin to change the terrain of your body. Because I love the analogy. I've got a few friends that use the analogy of like, the probiotics are like the yuppies, of the neighborhood of your gut. And if you've got like a gangster kind of neighborhood and you're trying to throw some yuppies down there, it's just, well, they're going to get beaten up. They're just going to get flushed out. So we need to kind of change the food and diet and lifestyle, everything that's going to help change the terrain. So those yuppies are going to feel comfortable. They'll be able to move in, and then you start feeding them. And
Totally. I was about the gut microbiome is your gut garden. Like so many things need to go into that so that the garden, the yuppies, like feel comfortable. Yeah, so it's a huge area of research, and we're starting to see like some of my colleagues working in this area are starting to find specific strains and species can affect things like anxiety. There's really great work looking at depression and gut health and probiotic therapy, possibly schizophrenia, autism spectrum disorder, ALS, or Lou Gehrig's disease, Parkinson's. So some really heavy duty neurological stuff that we're starting to think, whoa, probiotics like could be one tool, if not an answer, which is really, really promising.
yeah, it's amazing. I'm totally just blown away. It seems to be the cutting edge, right? It's like, okay, we know the connection of digestion, we know the connection through immune system, and like you say, it's like there's this whole new frontier. And at the end of the day, I think it's wherever the science goes, whatever we discover, we know that they're good, and we know that we should start bringing them into our diet. The fermented foods.
To me, like this like such a paradigm shift in psychology that some of my colleagues, these physicians and these neuroscientists are starting to talk about gut health. So that already is amazing that I'm seeing this in my lifetime. Yeah, it's promising. It was really humbling for me, to be honest with you, because I spent so long really becoming a little arrogant about my knowledge in the brain. And then to really take a step back now, 7 years into the business, and be like, actually, like, could I have been wrong? It's about the gut. It's not as glamorous or sexy to be talking about bowel movements as the nervous system and the brain. So that was humbling for me. And I held off on talking about it probably for, like close to 2 years as I was seeing the science research mounting. And then really last year, I decided like, I can't be quiet about this anymore. I need to get off my high horse and realize not that I was wrong, but where the research is going, it's about the gut equally as it is about the brain.
Yeah, for sure. I'm sure when you speak to kids, they're probably super, super into it and think it's fun.
They love it. And adults, once they get over the initial, oh gosh, we're going there, they like it too because it's fascinating.
Yeah, for sure. All right. Well, where's the best way that someone can connect with you? To what types of services do you offer? How could someone work with you, learn
Yeah.
more?
So we've got a team. We've got some nutritionists. We've got dietitians. We've got our neuro chef. We've got neuroscientists on our team, and there's a number of ways you can work with us. So if you're looking for one-on-one private nutritional consulting, you can get a hold of us. If you're more corporate and you're looking to have, corporate programming for brain and mental health and things like organizational productivity and performance using brain food, we can do that as well. And then we also work with clinical organizations and schools. So there's a number of kind of ways you can get in touch with us. You can check out our website, NeuroTrition.ca. You can check out what we're doing on social media, on Twitter and Instagram, the pretty stuff and the mini recipes and the food photos at NeuroTrition. And you can also connect with me personally, Orsha at NeuroTrition.ca.
Okay, right on, and we'll put all those links down below so people can just click away and dive into what you have to offer. And of course, we love to host you whenever you're available at the Light Cellar to teach, and that's been great.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Malcolm. I love working with you.
Yeah, for sure. Well, you're doing good work, and yeah, we just want to help get you out and reach as many people as possible. So,
thank you so much.
Yeah. All right. Well, thanks for being on the call today, and we'll chat with you again soon.